What's happening, everybody? Welcome to episode 14 with me, your host, Zeek the Kid. First things first, I want to thank all of the subscribers, actually, from the past few weeks that have joined us and subscribed on the Substack. The Substack is where you can have like the private community, and then on the YouTube. Either way, I really appreciate it. On the Instagram as well, we've had a lot of followers on there as well. So every week we get some more people that are interested in the show, that connect with the show, connect with me and the guests that I have on here. So I really appreciate that. Also, for my Greek people out there, happy Easter, Christos Anesti, as we say in Greek. I'm gonna crack the egg. So if anybody is watching right now, this is the Greek tradition. Okay, we crack the eggs, and it's very ritualistic. It's a show of dominance. Okay, so I'll explain the game. Two people. Usually, you play this between two people, but I don't have any friends here with me today, so they're only imaginary and they're like ghosts. Ghosts can't hold eggs if you aren't aware of that. Basically, one person gets one egg, another person gets another egg. Then you go top to top, right? You challenge people. It's like a duel, pretty much. So usually you might premeditate this. You might be ready to challenge like your little brother or a grandparent. You sit at the dinner table, everyone gets an egg, and we color the eggs as well. Here I have a nice yellow egg and a pink egg. Anyway, you challenge someone, you say, I'm calling you out, okay? Your top versus my top. If you're on top, you say Christos Anesti, which is like Christ has risen. Someone's gonna call me out on that. From memory, I know. I don't know the exact translations, all right. Then the other person who is on the defense says alithos, which is like it's true. So Christ has risen, Christos Anesti, alithos Anesti, it's true. And we're gonna go. I'm gonna challenge myself right here. Oh, okay. So in this case, right, I challenged from top and bottom actually won. So you see that cracked him. Now you can test the other person again, and in this case I will, and you'd go bottoms to bottom, right? So we'll say it again. Christos Anesti, alithos. Damn, the pink egg is out. And then yellow egg would be victorious. And now with the yellow egg, you would then challenge everyone else. And I mean, there's been occasions where you know one person has won actually uncracked. So if you don't really win anything, okay, you just get bragging rights. You just get it's for the sake of the conquer, the conqueror of the dining table. Okay. I'm sure if you ask Genghis Khan the same thing, he'd say the same answer. I just did it because I could. World domination. In this case, total dining room domination with the egg. So, I mean, obviously, then if you like boiled eggs, you peel it and then eat it. So, this is going to be my breakfast after the show. And yellow egg, I'll probably take it out on the street and throw it at a homeless man. I don't know, something like that. So that is for my Greek people. Happy Easter. For those of you who are Catholic and who celebrated the last week, happy Easter as well, you filthy Catholics. And straight up get cancelled. But happy Easter for you as well. So I get two Easters. I'm really thankful for that. We're actually back again if you were checking the notifications because I started the stream and then quickly soon realized that I had been 13 minutes in and it was muted. So there is a comment section. So if something is ever going wrong, like if the audio is really weird for you or you aren't quite like vibing with something, there's weird audio happening. If someone is just weird, if a guest is saying something and you want to like call them out, there is a comment section. If you're tuning on YouTube, I advise you to go and like type in what you feel there as well. It'll come up here on the live stream actually, so everyone will be able to see it. If you feel like dropping a comment, what do I have here written in my little notebook of schemes for world domination? Thank you as well. Yeah, if you're joining late, thank you to everybody who's like supported the show so far. It's like super cool to see that. I started this here in Milan. We're going to take it to Australia, but people are supporting. You guys are vibing with it. We're getting a few views, breaking a few views. I can't wait to sort of hit the hundreds in certain things, but I'm happy to keep it on the low numbers. Just build it naturally. Daily affirmations as well, whatever that is for you. I'd be interested to hear it. I'm always interested to hear what people have for their like daily affirmations. What things are you doing to keep yourself in check and and loyal to whatever it is that you need to be doing in your daily life? If it's exercise, mathematics, the times tables. If you notice a ghost back there as well, please make sure you let me know. And in the meantime, the state of things. This is going to be our first topic of the day, and more importantly, I queried Google Gemini earlier today, and don't mind the rest of these. How do I remove the rest of these lists so that you guys can't peep what I be searching on Google Gemini? But I consulted the great Gemini warlord. I asked him, I want to consult the great Gemini warlord on the happenings of the world, conspiracies, terror attacks, secrets, real life Easter eggs, and retard maxing and the occult. Give me the gist. Okay, just the gist of what's happening in the world since. And then the great Gemini warlord, in all his power, his all knowing power and glory, all knowledgeable from everybody in the world's queries, responded, "O grateful Gemini warlord," he says, "since you've summoned me, let's drop the corporate veil and look at the timeline through a slightly more chaotic lens. Since the 90s, the world has shifted from a physical reality to a digital simulation." Can you believe me just said the digital simulation? One where the line between irony and sincerity has completely dissolved. I Anyway, I'm going to keep reading before we can then go in and whether you agree or disagree with what he's saying. In the early 90s, people thought we'd won the USSR. It's really taken us from the Cold War. The USSR fell, and the vibe was all neon, grunge, and the early web. But underneath, the occult was rebranding. Well, you're telling me they went from BMW to Mercedes. This was the era of the X-Files, mainstreaming the idea that the truth is out there. For others, this was the golden era of the Joe Rogan podcast. We had The Secret, which was the transition from the Cold War to the New World Order, touted by H.W. Bush, who became the founder for every modern conspiracy. I don't really understand who is H.W. Bush. If you do know that, just drop it in the comments, actually. But the Easter egg is in the 1994 Denver airport opening with the apocalyptic murals and Illuminati dedication stone. What? It remains the ultimate real-life mystery for those who like to look under the floorboards. You know me, I'm always looking under the floorboards, lifting them up and that flathead screwdrivers. We're just going to quickly go in here and search up this. The 1994 Denver airport. Great. As you can see, this is clearly imagery here of the occult. Probably the leader. There's some kind of cult mascot and slaves. And it looks like they're dealing some sort of mystical cult-like items. Obviously, another ritualistic. I don't know what that is. It looks like is that a rabbit? It's like a rabbit covered in moss. I know they do weird things out in the woods. Okay, we're just going to ignore whatever. Nothing came up here except for occult imagery. There is this image of a horse, though, which does look something like something of an occult. Anyway, that's not the first one. Recap of the first one, the death and the end of history came about in the 90s. In the 2000s, we had the fabled, everybody knows about this, 9/11, okay? Clearly an inside job. That's about as an inside job as me literally recording the video right now from inside. Okay, it doesn't get more literal than that. If you need any more evidence, I just think that that's well and without a doubt proven. But 9/11 didn't just change travel; it fractured the collective psyche. The decade was defined by the war on terror, but the real terror was the 2008 financial crash. Okay. Thousands of people dying, the 2008 financial crash. You have no idea how many bankers had to sell their Ferraris and Lamborghinis after the 2009 financial crash. Okay. They couldn't afford organic produce. Okay. Thousands of people dying in the war on organic sweet potatoes. Women and children brutally slaughtered. Organic green beans. The conspiracy here is the inside job. The narrative became the first truly global internet spread conspiracy birthed in the early forums of the web, aka 4chan. The occult is a weird resurgence was happening in this time with interest in secret societies, Freemasons, the Skull and Bones. This was fueled by the democratization, of information. If everyone knows the secret, is it still a secret? I would say yes, so long as people are keeping it a secret, right? I mean, it's either a secret or it's the truth, okay? And if the truth is backed by factual evidence, if there's still people keeping it a secret, then there's clearly a dissonance there, right? Like, obviously, the amount of people that think the Illuminati is real is fair, but until it's truly proven, like Epstein, that whole thing is no longer a conspiracy. There was clearly weird things going on an island, okay? And whatever you want to believe, if it really just was pizza parties, it's kind of a weird thing to do on an island and be so and email about it. I mean, I can't think of the last time I ever emailed anyone about uh, something like that, like a pizza party. Or whatever else they were talking about, cottage cheese. I haven't read the files, okay? Some of you out there have really gone deep in this. I listen here and there, but I can't go in on that, okay? I'll listen when people who are talking about it and I'll be active and listen about it there. But my point is that side of everything in the world is clearly less of a conspiracy theory than the Illuminati, which is still like kind of, do they wear robes? Probably not confirmed. But anyway, that second one, the Great Reset. Number three, from the Gemini Warlord, is the irony age and and retard maxing. So the reason why retard maxing is here is because Max, friend of the show, from shout out to Tim Dillon as well for that reference. But Max was on a couple episodes ago on Instagram. I yesterday put up on my story asking for any sort of question that I can explore during this show and retard maxing. Max is invested in discovering exactly how he can explore retard maxing. And so that's why I put it in here. We got the irony age and retard maxing. This marks the 2010s, one of my favorite eras of humanity, to be honest. Shout out to Call of Duty, the OG Call of Duty, Halo 3. These are the things. These are the things that raise me. This is where things get weird. The smartphone turned everyone into a node in a giant. A node in a giant. Okay. 24/7 hive mind. Subcultures like 4chan and Reddit began leaking into reality. I do think that's correct. Yeah. Yeah. Leaking into reality as well. Was this still like the Vine era? Because I feel like Vine was that thing where it's like, like Jake Paul, for example. Vine, and then now it's like he just like seeped out of the app, like oozed out of the Vine app, and now it's like he's real. Now he's like really out here buying and reselling Pokemon cards. The shift. We entered the era of post irony. This is after irony. Concepts like retard maxing and leaning into perceived stupidity or chaotic behavior to bypass a boring, overly sanitized society. This became a legitimate survival strategy for the terminally online. That's me. I'm terminally online. I'm like, and it's like, yeah, for real. I love the descriptive tone that it's got. Leaning into perceived stupidity or chaotic behavior. Yeah, there's some chaos. The amount of people that I've seen jumping off roofs into trees and shit on Instagram is fucking sensational. To bypass a boring, yeah, more. I mean, nowadays it's not too bad. Like Donald Trump can announce that he's going to nuke Israel. So I wouldn't quite say we live in a boring time. If anything, I think we've forgotten how to be bored. Overly sanitized society. You could you could say that, okay, that it's still very dirty. There is lots of rubbish and still lots of dirty things going on, okay? AKA all of your fetishes. I know, I'm sure there's some people that are listening right now that are like, oh, I know about your jars. Talking to you. Real life Easter egg. In this case is Cicada, a series of complex puzzles posted online that led people to physical locations around the world, ostensibly to recruit highly intelligent individuals for a secret purpose. What? I did not know it. I'm clearly not one of the smart people that were invited to this occult event. Whoa. How am I just learning about this now? The difficulty of such problems is that they've been reputed as the most elaborate and mysterious puzzles of the entire internet age. Oh, you already know. After I finish this, my breakfast video is going to be a documentary on YouTube about Cicada 3301. Actually, I watched a video on, okay, I'm just connecting the dots in my own head right now. Cicada 3301 was inserted by the Daily American Washington Post in the top 5 of the internet's most disturbing unsolved mysteries. Many hypotheses and speculations have been made about the identity of this organization, and many point to it as a recruitment tool used by national security agencies such as the NSA, the CIA, or M16. This is like a movie. That's like something out of a movie. Or by cyber mercenary groups. So it's either pro world order, NSA, CIA, M16, or the latter, cyber mercenary group. That's great. You have no idea. Others believe that it's a kind of game that connects, like what's like Squid Game. Is that the? I haven't watched Squid Game. Okay, so bear with me for that. It connects the web to the real world. A kind of alternate reality game. That's the boring one. That's got to be the most boring part. No, nobody likes alternate reality game in that way. But this doubt would be easily disproved. Okay, it's disproved by the fact that no company or individual ever announced that they had created it. True, okay. Or tried to monetize it. Right, yeah. If it was made by a corporate reality game, I'm sure there would have been marketing or some way. Um, let's see. Here it says, had created it and tried. Those who would solve the puzzles did not come forward. Still others claim that it is part of a banking company of cryptocurrency. Okay. Um, the first enigma in 2012. Some users have found that opening the image of a text editor, the writing appeared Tiberius Clavdivis Caesar. Sorry about that. That's the first time I've ever pronounced any of the letters of the English language in that order. Then applying the Caesar's cipher with the number 4, Claudio, it was in fact the fourth Roman emperor, which, however, led to a dead end, a photo of a wooden duck and a writing, whoops, just bait like this. It seems you can't guess the context of the message. Weird. The other method was actually the correct one. It was the steganography without guess, which allowed us to find a second message inside the image, an argument Reddit containing sequences of numbers and letters in Mayan language. This is fucking, what is going on? In Mayan language. This is literally where the Mayan language comes from. This small little part of the earth, and they're using it here in this case, and two photos titled Welcome and Problems. Chasing the cicada, exploring that. This is crazy. The resolution of this too, following the same procedure. Anyway, so this is crazy. If you haven't heard ever about this, then you could probably look into it if you even care, if it tickles your fancy. But this is definitely interesting to me. Cicada 3301 in the 2010s. Shout out to the 2010s. Now, the fourth part here we have the simulation glitch. In my mind, this is when we were officially in the simulator. This is when shit started getting fucking crazy, okay? Shit was getting absolutely wild. I had no idea what it could be any year, and I would believe you, at least speaking about now. The current era is what we call the Great Glitch. Yeah, no doubt. COVID-19 was the ultimate happening. It forced the entire world to stop and stare at their screens. That is true. Okay. If you weren't connected to some sort of device during COVID-19, that good for you, because you really, yeah, you really did it. Okay. You did it. You survived. Maybe you're the only person now that wasn't inserted into the matrix. Maybe it was during that time everyone was sucked into the matrix, and everyone that wasn't on a phone screen is like still in the real world. The happenings. We saw the rise of QAnon, the ultimate gamified conspiracy. I have no idea about QAnon. GameStop Wall Street bets short squeeze. Oh my God, the GameStop Wall Street situation. That was the best. The mainstreaming of UFOs. If you aren't aware and haven't been brought up to speed, Obama had announced recently that aliens are real. Aliens are real. We're just gonna. Apparently, he hasn't seen them. Okay, but aliens are definitely real. Aliens are real. Yep, haven't seen them personally, but I would say they're real. He just announced that they're real, which is crazy. I remember like getting into arguments about why they may or may not be real with friends. And the year is now 2026, and aliens are real. I've seen them. What a crazy time. The Pentagon basically admitted they don't know what's in the sky, and everybody just moved on. Okay, that part is true. With so much happening in the world, it's almost like, how can you just stay focused on one thing? Now everyone has this ADHD. We have ant brain. Like, have you ever seen an ant running around on the ground? It looks like he's forgetting the direction they're going while he's walking in the direction. It's fucking crazy. Meanwhile, ants are actually one of the most smart organisms on the planet in a way. The current vibe between 2024 and 2026, we've moved into the AI singularity light reality. That's true. It's now promptable. Reality is now promptable. Also true. Deepfakes and generative art mean that truth is now whatever you can convince 1,000 people to believe for 15 minutes. 15 minutes, because that's the attention span. That's true. This paragraph here that's it. Between 2024 and 2026. So where do we go from here is what I'm wondering. Where do we go from here? Because I'm scared, and you should be scared, but you should also be hopeful that When the nuclear fallout comes, it will be a quick and fast and easy death if you're closer to the nuclear fallout blast. It's going to be slow and grueling if you're far away from the nuclear blast. Let me tell you that. And if you plan on living in a bunker, okay, I mean, go for it. But I just can't see life being all that fun surviving the apocalypse. I mean, have you seen any apocalyptic movie? Like, look at the movie 12 Monkeys. Anyone that was still alive, it was just snow and bears. Wild animals move back in. Okay. You're now at the bottom of the food chain. All right. Like, realizing pretty quickly that a bear is a powerful animal. And now that it realizes that it's back on top, all right, it's not afraid of you. It's probably now mutated enough genetically that it's immune to bear spray. All right. And at the end of the day, where are you gonna find bear spray if it's the apocalypse? I mean, like, so anyway, I'm just saying life is gonna be easier if you're closer to the nuclear blast. The goal, here we go. Summary of the secrets. Oh, great Gemini warlord. Where do we go from here? Total platformization. Everything you do, buy, or think is going to be fed into an algorithmic loop. That is terrifying. I am fucking terrified. If everything I did and bought, I mean, I don't buy a lot, to be honest. When I think about it, I haven't made steady income for years. Everything I buy is just a schizophrenic vision that I have that this thing is going to help me. So I think I'm going to be fine for that. Or think, though. Everything we think, that's the part that scares me. I guess that's true in a way until we get the microchip implanted in our brains. But the resistance, niche subcultures that use high level irony and schizo posting to stay unpredictable. I think that's technically me. If you're watching this as well, it might be you. If you're into niche subcultures, My Little Pony, is that even niche anymore? I think that's probably not even niche, to be honest. Hot Wheels collecting. What else is a niche? What's another niche subculture? Um, um, Punk rock is still niche. Glad that that's still niche. What's another one? Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh competitions. If you're into Yu-Gi-Oh, I think that's still niche. There's a couple niche subcultures there. Pokemon collecting is definitely not. That's not niche anymore. High level irony. There's a few out there. Adam Ray. If you've ever heard of the comedian Adam Ray, that's some high level irony there. You can Google away. And schizo posting. There's a few pioneers on Instagram that I find every now and then posting some deplorable video of on what seems to be a fucking gigapixel phone, like pixelated things of just like complete video diarrhea, but schizo posting. Okay. Anyway, the occult today is no longer about robes and candles. It's about manifestation. Yes, manifesting and meme magic. Oh, meme. I can't believe I just pronounced that word and felt like it was normal. People unironically believe that if you meme something hard enough, like a certain green frog or a billionaire's rocket, you can force it into physical existence. Is that? I don't think that's true. Meme magic. I'm about to commit meme magic by means of manifesting. I guess so. People are meme magically manifesting this character. Uh, they're meme manifesting Epstein back into reality. If you've been up to date with what's been happening in the media, this individual, since Epstein disappeared, this individual called Palm Beach Pete, who I believe is a walking manifestation for the promotion of GTA 6, has apparently, can't find images of him, has apparently bubbled to the surface as a character who looks oddly similar to Jeffrey Epstein. Whether you believe it or not, here is Palm Beach Pete on the right. And apparently, there is some resemblance, okay? There is some similarity. Given that time has passed, the one thing that that I think is just, I don't know, people from the Bay Area, is he from the Bay? People from Palm Beach, he grew up in a similar place as Epstein. I'm just going to say, just look at the nose, okay? There's not quite a similarity in the nose. Palm Beach Pete has an up pointed nose. It could be because of his the way his head's pointed, but just from like the nasal flaps here, we're gonna get anatomical. From the flaps of oh god, I don't really want to go onto that. There's some difference here, okay? Like, and then I mean, even from like the space, I get it that like as time passes. Anyway, I'm not here to kind of like debate this topic. I'm just saying that people are almost meme manifesting Palm Beach Pete to become this character. And I think that the more that they meme manifest it, it's almost like Palm Beach Pete wakes up every morning and he's like, oh my God. It's like I look closer and closer to Epstein every day. Like this poor guy, bro. If he's not Epstein, then he just can't escape the fact that that's going to be soon who he's going to become. I want to ask, okay, oh Gemini Warlord, what can we possibly do to fight against what feels like the inevitable sorry downfall of everything we know and love? Oh Gemini Warlord, what can we possibly do to fight against what feels like the inevitable downfall of everything we know and love? Let's see, shall we? What would Gemini what would Gemini say? When everything feels like it's sliding into the abyss, which it definitely does, the Gemini Warlord advice isn't to look for a hero to save the world, really. I was looking at Kanye West, but to realize instead that the world as a whole is already too heavy to carry. Great. Sounds very bleak in a way. To fight against the inevitable downfall, you have to stop playing the game on the system's terms. Here's the 2026 survival protocol. Adopt optimistic nihilism. Actually, that's crazy that it mentions this. I'm a huge believer in optimistic nihilism. Even though the two it's a technical paradox by means of the English terminologies. Uh, anyway, let's break into it. So if the world is ending and nothing matters on a cosmic scale, that's cosmic is entirety of everything we know about space and time and fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson. That is actually ultimate freedom. When you realize that 99% of the emergencies on your screen are just data points designed to harvest your attention, the weight drops off. You understand what that means? It means all of the noise on the screens all the time, you know, it's getting you to click. Constant reminders, this person liked your story. The Dow Jones is up. These are just emergencies. They're fake. It's just data points on the screen. It doesn't really mean anything, okay? It's harvesting your attention. The strategy here is, since nothing matters, you're free to care deeply about the things that actually affect your physical reality. the coffee you drink, the clothes you design. That's oddly specific. The person standing in front of you, if nothing matters, everything you choose to care about matters infinitely. That's something that I believe is, and I've said this, it's how much fun you can possibly have when that's the only prerogative. When fun is the premise and nothing matters, what matters is defined by you. Isn't it the best way to live? Instead, we think in reverse sometimes. We adopt the rules and we think that that puts a container on fun, when in reality, that's just a mental prison that you're holding yourself in. So, since nothing matters, you're free to care deeply about things that actually affect your physical reality. Okay, to a degree, I'm going to rebuttal against this because I do believe that you should look at some of the media and the noise and filter through it, because some of the media is going to tell you that the coffee you drink, it's probably not good if you have ADHD and you're drinking caffeine. Okay, there are other alternatives you should consult and consider before going to coffee, but the deeper you go into that, we're leaning into more the health maxing thing, which is like, we're going to avoid that. Clavically, whatever the fuck that guy's name is, Clavicles or clavicular. I just can't even, every time I see his face, I'm like, what is going on? Anyway, move from me to we, the network strategy. This is interesting. The system wins by keeping you isolated in a digital silo. It's like the silo from the Simpsons movie. That was a dome. Sorry, I was thinking more about the silo that Homer Simpson like puts the pig, you know, like the pig waste in there and that. Anyway, weird reference, but if you like the Simpsons movie, you'll enjoy that throwback. The 2026 counter move is network thinking. Kind of a trigger word, but anyway, don't be a self-made survivor. Build a squad. In the current climate, stability doesn't come from institutions; it comes from skill sharing. Interesting. Find the person who knows how to fix hardware, the person who knows how to grow food, and the person who knows how to navigate the legal system. Because a decentralized network is harder to crush than a single tower. What's more powerful than two towers? Okay. Shout out to the Twin Towers. Is a city that you built. That's so true. I so believe in that. Skill sharing is how we used to do things. Okay. I used to sell my eggs for a stack of bread, go to the local markets and barter. Okay, bartering is something that I've actually adopted again recently. Yes, referencing my human roots, but I go to this food pantry every morning and ritualistically, and I will barter my things that I don't want to eat or consume, such as donuts, and they have a lot of like, you know, cakes and sweets and chocolates. They always have chocolates. And I'll barter those for tins of beans and salads. And sometimes I want the chocolates. I'm not even gonna lie. But the bigger part of me knows that this is something, an exchange that's gonna assist me. You know what I mean? For those of you that are just like, why don't you go and just buy beans? Okay, times are tough. Let me just tell you. Also, it's part of the fun. All right. So, skill sharing. Find the people who know how to fix hardware, grow food, navigate the legal system. AKA, find people that have real tangible skills. Those are all things that are real, they're real. Fix hardware. He knows how to get in there, do the technical things. All right. Grow food. That's that's something that's just going to help you survive. If you don't have a veggie patch, maybe try and grow a plant. Try and grow something. It's the best feeling. There is no other feeling that matches when you look at a tomato tree and it's full of tomatoes that you grew, and you just can pick them off the tree and eat them, put them into a salad. It's crazy. And tomatoes yield a lot, all right? If you really cultivate the tree and you care for it, the plant, maybe that's something for you. 2026, you grow a tomato plant. If you do, take a photo of it, tag me in the comments in your post. And the person who knows how to navigating the legal system. That also is true. Inevitably, you're going to need at some point to fight against the legal system. If you believe in growing tomato plants, trading chocolate for tins of beans, at some point in time, you're going to need to know someone who might know how to navigate the legal system. If you don't know how to do it, it'd be nice to know someone who understands the language, okay, who knows your rights. Knowing your rights now more than ever is so, so important, okay? I'm not going to sound like your parents. I'm not here to be your parent, okay? I'm here to be the cool uncle at the party who's going to hand you a joint and say, listen, Jim, all right, the world's a big, scary, and nasty place, okay? Smoke this joint. It's all going to be all good. After you smoke the joint, let's talk. Radical localism. The happening of the world is a macro distraction. The counterinsurgency is micro action. Why is that like a bar? The happening of the world. Anyway, the strategy here is invest your energy where your feet are, in the present. Support the local artist, the neighborhood grocer, and the physical community. When the local system glitch, whether it's supply chain or the internet, the local network is the only thing that remains tangible. I mean, that's just totally true as well. The one thing that is I guess something to keep in mind is that when so many people rely on the mass market, it means that independent markets, the price is so high because in order for them to make a margin, they really have to charge that high margin. And that's the one thing that's you got to look out for is anyway is that I don't really know what I'm talking about in regards to that area, because I've just always been an artist, and so I've only known what it feels like to be supported by people who believe in believe in real talent. Like what I show, I have real talent. Like it's not an ego thing. It's just something that I've worked on. It's like a skill. That's my skill, is real talent in some of these areas, you know. But and the point is that it's felt great to like understand that and support people that get that, I mean, as an artist, it's generally hard. Art is not easy. If you really want to take it as like a job, if you want to, approach it as a job, which is it's how I do it, algorithmically in a way, like it's the most frustrating job because like you're your own boss until you find like a someone else to work with, someone else to sort of guide that and be your padding. It's like going to NFL training and you're just like training against the metal fucking dummies. You like ruck against the metal and you like hit the metal dummy. I mean, you're going to get stronger and stronger every time you do it. But that's still metal. And it's not like an emotional interaction. So, you know, um, that's sort of been some of my experience as an artist. Here we go. Number 4. Tip number 4. Practice digital refusal. The simulation requires your constant emotional performance. Every tragedy or conspiracy, like it asks you to emote, post, and react. I'm definitely a victim of that. But emote, posting, and reacting, I think, is better than passively being stuck on a swipe. Sometimes I'm like, I know I'm on the swipe. I might have 30 minutes of break time. I mean, I could be doing anything else. But I'll be stuck in a swipe, and I noticed that. But the one thing is that more recently, my challenge is to comment and connect with the content. It's something real there as well. Like as much as this is just randomness, every few swipes, there's an opportunity to connect with people in the comments, connect with the person who's posting. Like it's not like TV. TV's, when you watch it passively, you literally can't connect. Like you might try and call up. You're going to call up the news and be like, Be like, I'm gonna bomb the fucking radio show in 30 minutes. Like, that's not even gonna happen anymore, you know? And that's just fucking crazy. I would like that's a bit. But my point is that you can really connect with these posts that you're scrolling through on Instagram and do it. Say something in the comments. Get something controversial happening. I'm always in the comments sections. If you are following me on Instagram and you've seen on your feed, like, you've managed to find like a post that I've commented in this digital outback of mess and noise, you might find that I've actually commented and tried to interact with the content, um, because it's like, because it actually takes effort as well. You're not just sitting there passively scrolling on this dead end, like mindless numbing, just like Patrick the Star type, like by tapping comment. Sorry for that sound effect. By tapping comment, like I said, you really interact with that. You might say something and get inspired. So refuse to perform. This is still on 4. Use the tools for utility, not identity. If you stop feeding the algorithm your outrage and your fear, you become a ghost in the machine. You gain the ability to observe the chaos without being consumed by it. Number 5, create real life Easter eggs. Instead of looking for secrets, create them. Put art in places it shouldn't be. Start a podcast. It's ironic. Speak a language only your niche understands. Ep, ep, rap, ep, rap, rap. That's the language I'm going to invent right there. Except that's not really like understandable. What if you just like, if you walked past someone on the street, just like, ep, rap, ep, rap, rap, I would probably, I'd be very concerned. But inevitably, I think they're speaking a secret language, and I want in. Okay, I want in on that. Eep, bop, eep, bop. Got that shit on. I got that shit on lock, bro. Hit me up if you want to be speaking. Eep, bop, eep, bop. Nobody can like read your lips as well when you're speaking. Geep, gap, because that fucking your lips move faster than the words come out. Build things that don't have a buy button. The best way to fight a world that feels like it's fake is to inject it with something undeniably, weirdly, and confusingly human. The bottom line here from the Gemini warlord: you don't fight the downfall by holding up the sky. Interesting. You fight it by building a garden on the ground while the sky does what it's going to do. Even if it crushes you and breaks your neck and breaks your legs, you'll be able to reach out one last time, pluck the tomato from the tomato tree, and taste what was real. Stay weird, stay connected, and keep the irony sharp. There you have it. That's our little, I think that's a great ending note on our Gemini feature. From, but that's some real shit that Gemini just spoke to us on, real something to think about. And as far as like the future goes, as far as the future is concerned, I think that it's a great idea to stay connected to yourself and like and the reality that is happening around you as well, like, because it's hard sometimes to be interacting because you get exhausted. But also that's because the way the world is now, it's exhausting. Like it's exhausting because we're open to so much more. We're like taking in this, and our ADHD brains now are just like 100 miles an hour, taking in everything. And there's always something new to look at. I'm always checking out what's on YouTube recommended for my latest interests, like what's coming up, like what's been on the news and things like that. But just as much as I'm doing that, I'm going and revisiting things that ground me back in my reality, because my and your reality, it doesn't, I'm sorry to say, but it doesn't exist here anymore. in this space, like, in the world that we're living in. Like, it used to, I think it used to, you used to wake up in the morning and be like, oh, whoa, like, parents would have the news on and they'd be watching the news. And as a kid, like, you didn't give a shit about the news. So you went and made breakfast. You had your Wheat Bix because you didn't know about health maxing. You weren't taking supplements. Maybe you were at that time. But if you were taking them because you learnt about this through reading something, or some intelligible conversation motivated you to do something. So, you're doing things because you naturally believe it's like the inclination. But now I feel like we can be so fueled by prompts. We're like prompt based, and me as well. Like, I'm fucking prompt based like a crazy man. But like, the things that I do to ground myself is revisiting cartoons and reading things and listening to music. Exercise for me is like beyond now, like staying in shape. Like, I'm like, whatever. Like, if I can work out, I can ground myself back in something that's like my reality, you know, because so much of the world now is, like I said, just crazy. We're living in a crazy place. It's a crazy world. Um, I don't know what makes sense nowadays. Okay, simple algorithmic equations to me. Last time I did what's 2 plus 2 on a calculator, and it said 36. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Okay, calculators are fucking going crazy. Um, it's a fun world we're living in still, though. Okay, don't let it make you think that it's fucking doom and gloom. Like the Google Gemini warlord said, like, you know, the world and the sky might fall, but man, you know what? If you're happy doing what you're doing, so be it. Let the sky fall. Whatever. James Bond. Fuck it. Skyfall. When the sky falls. Oh shit, we can't actually sing music nowadays because YouTube will fucking demonetize us. Um, but figure out what makes you happy, um, and do your best to try and do that as much as you can. The hard part is always when it comes into, like, money is always a thing. That's the thing that grounds us in the present, because you need to work. You need to figure out what you're going to do to make a dollar. And I'm not going to lie, like, that's not always been my strongest suit. I've gone through phases. I've gone through phases where I've worked 5 jobs at once. I've gone through phases of being completely unemployed, living off savings, and living off just like a check to check momentum. And it's how I've been for the longest time. It's kept me grounded in myself, and it's kept me having to trust what I'm saying, and figure that shit out. Like a fucking stand up comic has to get up on stage if they're not recording a special that's rehearsed, and lay down their bits, you know? I don't have bits written down. I mean, I do. I don't do them. If you watch the bombing special from early episodes, you'll notice just how fucking shit I was. But actually, there was some okay bits in there. I will stand by that. Okay, but it would have been destroyed on Kill Tony. All right, they would have absolutely destroyed me. I would have been boiled down to just dust. Um, but the same way that, like, real performance rests on your ability to showcase your talent and skills there in the present, like a casting call and things like that. You need to push yourself to be able to do something like that tests you, okay? Because otherwise, everything that you do is going to be risked on premeditated activity and things that you have to calculate. And if you're an artist and act and live in this way, then building your skill set so you can do things that are, spontaneous and really skillful is just about building the skill set, building the muscle that performs that action, even something like this, and just keeping the riff going. Like, this isn't easy. Okay. Talking with you guys, and talking to pretty much myself, it's like, it's kind of, it's a challenge. It's not easy, and it is a skill. Podcasting is a skill. There are people who are great at it. I'm working at it, And there are people who should never podcast for themselves, but should go on podcasts because they're going to say shit that's fucking crazy, you know, like Alex Jones. So someone like Alex Jones. And if you guys think that like he's always like that, I mean, he's got a family and kids. If he was always like, vegan explosion, the frogs, the turn of the freaking frogs, guy, who do you believe it? Like, if you could believe that he would always be like that, even with a family, it's just not the reality. It's the skill that he has in that moment to lean into that performance style and not be bullshit, be facts at the same time. And be talking about the freaking frogs. They're putting water in the freaking frogs. And like be that character, be that person. You know, it's just leaning into that side of him. And it's something that he can do there. And it's a skill that also like it just fucking creates this other layer to reality, you know? And it's fun, you know, it's just fun. Like I feel like sometimes I get in this like zone of being so like monotone because I'm getting so calculated. I'm like in my own head. You know, I'm thinking about things so much. Like I'm watching like YouTube documentaries on like acting techniques and this and that and learning and writing notes and like fucking notebooking all the time. And I love it. I enjoy it. But also like things that get you out of your head are the skills that you've refined that you can go somewhere and fucking do. If it's graffiti, that's the same thing. If it's something in the public forum, you know, something that I think those are the things that are going to survive. When we're talking about like skills and the arts, like what's going to survive in art? Okay, because that's a huge topic. If you're a painter, if you're a, you know, whatever you are, graphic designer, in the past year and a half, you've had to seriously reconsider like what it is you're doing. Because I don't know, at least for me, like I'm not a full-time graphic designer. I can graphic design. I have a philosophy that I apply when I design things. All right. It's like less is more. That's the approach that I go from, working from a place where I used to be so maximalist, you know, with no direction. And now I sort of lean more into like hierarchy and respect to design principles through my own research, you know, consolidation and all that kind of shit, masturbation and all the Asians. And through those practices, I've like refined my graphic design philosophies. But the point is that if you're a graphic designer, now that AI can make so much and even make videos and whatever it is, you've maybe had to reassess like in an uncomfortable way what it is you're doing. Why are you doing it? How do you feel about what you're doing? And if you're just a graphic designer in this time, like I fucking hat is like my hat is goes off to you because now I'm gonna have to put this shit back on. Because like it's not an easy time to be an artist. You are constantly fighting against people who are like, is this made with AI? Or constantly fighting against clients who expect something and they expect it because AI can do it. But you're not AI and you might refuse to use AI. So that's a real time thing. And anyway, I just think that the trades that are going to last at the moment in the arts, things like DJing, as cringe as it is, as much as the world doesn't need another DJ, that the art form and the practice of DJing will survive. Painting, it will survive. The artists who paint will continue to not survive. But painters of forever, since the dawn of time, died of starvation. So that's nothing new. Performance artists, and that goes beyond just drama or theater and things like that, because humans have always liked theater. Okay, that's something that if you aren't aware of human history, there's things that I think will never die, and it's like agricultural cultivation, farming, and the jester. How long has there been this idea of the jester? Now it's a stand-up comic, you know? Now there is no king per se, or the king is the world, or like whatever the reference is for a stand-up comic. But this idea of the jester is not something that isn't around today. Okay. Like, and like a jester was a real like Fucking, he was the king's like handyman, literally. I'm saying, like, it probably got dark in some ways, and there's definitely some people out there that are doing the handiwork for the king, if you know what I mean. But the way that a stand-up comic is now the jester, and continue to be the jester and a performer and things like that, the way that they speak about the culture and they test things. David Chappelle, for example, Dave Chappelle is like forever been the jester, but what he said has been outspoken. Whether it's been controversial, whatever, if you agree politically, anti-politics, whatever he said against trans, this and that, like, the things that he's bringing up, the topics that he brings up, tests society and creates points of topics of argument where people can have intellectual conversations about societal tropes and things that a jester would point out, like like did you see what the king did the other week? Totally allowed a male into the female quarters. Hasn't the king just positively lost his mind? Even the act of questioning the king, it's like, how could, if anyone else did it, they'd be executed. But because it's the jester, he allows people to shit on him in a way. It's part of his thing. It's part of the jester's role. And that as a stand-up comic is so important now. And a public speaker, someone who isn't afraid to test the society, question the actions of the king, question like things and say things that are like controversial, because that's also let's take a step into the broader sphere then. The jester is like one small person. It's like one pencil in a pencil case, collection of the world of art. Then you have like the fact that art and everything that's forever been art has survived. Have you ever thought about how it survived? I kind of just had a thought just now. And it's probably because controversy is everlasting, right? I mean, conspiracy theories, pretty controversial. Kanye West, pretty controversial. The blue and the black dress, that was a fucking controversial thing. It was always, that meme was always around. It was a fucking meme, but that shit was controversial. I still remember it. You still remember it. Art is controversial, okay? And without controversy, things just fade off into nothingness. Yes, there's always good. There's always like great art. Like, things are great. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's things that are, I'm sure, have released and they haven't been controversial, and I just can't think of them right now, and then that sort of says something. But like, the Sistine Chapel and things like that. But there is almost controversy in that. It's almost like, how could he do that? How did this man do that? It's not controversial where it's like a denial of the thing, but there's an aura to it, you know? But I think that's beside the point. Like, controversy is something that creates timelessness, sorry. And art is controversial and timelessness, and it should be, it should be something that's controlled. It shouldn't be something that's also just allowed to be totally free and rampant. Like, for example, Jean-Michel, if you're a painter and you know Jean-Michel Basquiat, however you want to pronounce his last name, I've confirmed it within my mind now that it's Basquiat. Okay, Basquiat, whatever you want to do, Basquiat is what I'm going to pronounce it as. He was freely creating on the streets, living homeless. For majority of his life, he was homeless, okay? His art, though, had a sole purpose. It was a dissemination of the world and societal tropes, okay? And his work got better and better, especially as he found one particular person in his career that really shaped a lot of it. And I'm gonna throw him up here. And if you know this artist, then that's good for you. If you don't know him, I would consider looking into him. But you at this point you should all know, okay, this artist. So Andy Warhol was a magnificent creative. The story goes, Basquiat handed Andy Warhol, while he was in a restaurant cafe, small postcards of his work. That was how Andy Warhol first met Basquiat. Instantly, he was like, "This is one of the greatest artists of all time. I need to I need to uh, help and endorse this person." And Andy Warhol put a layer of control over what Basquiat was doing. Still unhinged, still let Basquiat create. But even if it was just someone that could give some opinions on the work, you can see here the level of control between Warhol and Basquiat. Like it's so prevalent in this work, and it's so prevalent in like the duality between these two characters. But I kind of got lost in that. The point is that with a little bit of control, because like I was saying, art without some layer of control is just complete mess. Okay, and that was so what was so great about this collaboration was that Basquiat was so mess, but he also had a level of control naturally, you know, because he understood what he was doing. And then when Warhol came into play, okay, then there was a whole nother added layer, okay, to the systems that were at play. And you as an artist, you just need to create that and ensure that for yourself because there's so much out there now. It's fucking crazy. The world is, like I said, constantly changing. And you have to remain controversial so that you can be timeless, but also create with a layer of control that allows your work to be interpreted and fucking and still look good. Okay, because it can't just be a mess. I used to make things a lot of the time, and well, yes and no. But my graphic design used to be like pretty messy, intelligible in some ways. And graphic design is more of a mathematics. That's a whole nother area. I can get into that in maybe like another episode. We're just going to be talking about right now just like art, painting, and that sort of extended lens of creativity. You know, because controlling the output of certain work, like I said, allows for that fine, you know, you can cut off the fat of it because a lot of what we think in our thoughts, if you do take the time to cut off the fat, it's going to get really good. Okay, it's going to only get better. The more time and thoughts that you have and on something that you're creating, it'll only get better if you're actually applying yourself to it. So, you know, like I feel like what the Google Gemini warlord said about sharing information. Share more like with people. Share your experience in art. All right. Not with everybody. Not everybody deserves to see your shit. Not once. Okay. Forget once. Okay. Fuck what people want. But what people, not everyone is then privy to you. Find your group. Find the people you trust. Okay. If you're an artist, you have an audience. You have fellow artists. Disseminate between that because I'm a victim of this. Test my audience, test my work on the audience. But that's not always the healthiest thing. Okay? Like cuz your audience they might just like it whatever it is. They might like it. Okay? They might not have a preference. They like you for you. They like your work because it's you because you're the one making it. They're not going to be analytical until your audience grows, you know, and then eventually you might get some haters here and there if you're lucky enough to have haters, and whatever the case is. I say lucky because like fuck the haters, but if you're lucky enough to have haters, it's like you kind of get this opportunity to have that unique interaction where like, well, someone's like vocalizing what they think about this, and it's actually the latter, like they hate it, you know. I've had plenty of like random haters here and there, and I've been a hater. Okay, everyone's been a hater. Fuck, everyone hates and everyone loves and things like that. You just don't want to chronically become a hater and become and become, what's the word? You just don't be a dark lord. You just don't want to be a dark lord, all right? Like you've seen, everyone's seen Star Wars, all right? Like you've seen Elon Musk out there. He doesn't have any friends. He's playing with spoons at the dining table. He's making spoon sculptures. Donald Trump's over there. People are looking at him. He doesn't really have friends because, I mean, he's a bit of a dark lord. Let's just be honest, all right? Even if he's like a Sol Guerrero, even if he's like an anti-hero, find people you can really connect with and trust to share something with, create with, make something cool with those people, and you'd be surprised at what you can create. Okay, make something because it's fun, and then figure out how you can fucking enterprise that shit. All right, figure out how you can run the Millennium Falcon in 21 parsecs. You know, the Kessel Run. Find your crew. All right, because nobody's ever made it alone. All right, look at Boba Fett. He fucking fell into the Sarlacc pit. All right, he lost his dad. Luke Skywalker runs into the Jabba's sail barge, rolls into the Sarlacc pit. He survives. Yeah, he survives. But how does he survive? He fucking makes friends. All right. He finds people he can connect with. You know what I'm saying? The world wants you to be alone. The world wants you to be in fear, like live in fear. All right. Like that you aren't in control anymore. But you got this. All right. Guys, I'm going to leave this episode here. I'm going to leave it nice, short, and sharp, like a 1 hour special. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you laughed, maybe giggled, maybe even cried. But um, I'll link the Google Gemini in the description, the comment, the conversation, so you can access it for yourself if you're interested. And happy Easter for last week for my Catholic family. Happy Easter, Christos Anesti, for my Greek friends and family. That would be today. Hope you spent your time with your lovely family and got into many arguments with your uncle about 9/11. And we didn't even talk about the moon, the space odyssey that just happened. But if you don't know, we just went back to space, whipped it around the moon and came, and now they're coming straight back. So yeah, space travel. My love goes out to people like Theo Vaughn as well. Random plug, but Theo Vaughn, someone who, not a friend of the show, but a friend in mind. And he just recently, they produced a movie, him and David Spade. It's called Bus Boys. If you haven't heard of this movie, produced by Theo Vaughn, David Spade, a few other great minds in the works, okay? From Bad Friends, we have Bobby Lee as well. Bobby Lee, longtime friend of mine, someone who I've been looking up to for eons, okay? Bobby Lee is a great artist. He's also in this movie. Check it out. You're going to find it. I don't quite know where you're going to find it right now. You can buy tickets. It might be in some theaters. I'm not sure it's in Australia. Either way, if you don't know who Theo Vaughn is, go and check him out. He's got a podcast called The Theo Vaughn Show. You're going to go and check that out. Listen to an episode. They got a couple really good ones. One that I would recommend that's really great is the episode Theo Vaughn with Timothy Chalamet. Chalamet. Check it out with Timothy Chalamet. That was a good episode. It was really fun. I feel like really lighthearted conversations. For Bobby Lee, I'm going to plug Bobby Lee. Fuck, I want to roll here. Bobby Lee, you're going to check out Bad Friends with Andrew Santino. Just watch Santino's special on YouTube last night as well. It was good. Okay, Andrew Santino. I feel like I can't move him out of place of being like a father figure to me in a way. Not that I would model myself in any way, but just in that same vibe. I'm just like, he just says some dad jokes. And I don't know, if you're interested in dad jokes and Chicago, check it out. Andrew Santino special on YouTube. Bobby Lee's got a special dropping soon as well. And I just plug these guys. They don't even need my fucking audience of however many people, but I fucking love them. And I would like this to kind of be heard by whoever's watching as well. I think they're good creatives. I think they stand for something that's really true and pure and fun and funny, and a few of the things that I'm trying to be in my art form as well, at least for the show. So, last but not least, thank you to you. I'm pointing at you. Stick them up. Brah. Mainly for supporting and watching and whatever you guys have done. If you take the time to comment on the episodes or whatnot, it really means a lot. It's really great. And this is just the beginning. So I'm glad that if you've joined and watched so far, you're kind of feeling it out. You're seeing some of the vibes because eventually, like, this show is going to be live and direct, full setup, full same guests, always artists, tastemakers, inspiring people, people that are crazy, that have crazy ideas on how they want to change the future and change your diet and fucking health maxing and whatever the hell that the algorithm descriptive words are. But so thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed. Next week, we're going to be back with some new tastemakers and artists. Friends, I hope you enjoy the week. I'm going to leave you with this track. Shout out to Nick. Always. Just because she's mad groovy. She got mad style. I'm your host, Zeek the Kid. And that's a wrap. People all around.